Welcome back to Saturday Social, where we are joined by Rory and Buvey, who are agreeing on absolutely everything this show.
Yeah, when did that happen?
Exactly. Time to turn our attention to the January transfer window. A lot of rumours, some interesting rumours. A lot involving your club as well, Joe. Bubbling. So let's get into it.
Who's surprised? Absolutely nobody. Yeah, we've got loads of January transfer rumours. We've got the classic tier list out. We're going to go through rumour by rumour. Put them on from A being the best, E being the worst. We'll try and get one at least in each tier. Let's start with Douglas Luiz, shall we? Because he's been linked with a couple of clubs.
So you're ranking how good you think the rumour is?
I don't think he doesn't come to Chelsea. I don't think he comes to Chelsea. I rate him. I'd quite like him. I think he would elevate our midfield options. But I just don't think that there's any... If you think about the profile of player that Chelsea like to sign, sadly, I don't think Douglas Luiz is going to be part of that. For Man City, however, I feel like it makes a lot of sense. What do you think?
For me, he's an offensive midfielder. I think City need a pure defensive midfielder that wants to be ugly, a bit like a Caicedo or a Lavia. I just don't think it works.
He played very deep for Aston Villa, didn't he? He was basically shielding the back four at times for Aston Villa, and he was really successful in that Villa side.
Absolutely.
It reminds me a little bit of Ilkay Gundogan playing in the deep line position. I think it's very similar in that regard. He wants to look forward, he wants to carry the ball, he wants to score goals. He's fantastic, by the way. Obviously, came from City as well previously, but for me, I think City need a real rugged, young, defensive-minded midfielder.
He's still only 26 years old.
I was going to say the age profile was only 26 still.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, that isn't Chelsea's profile. The 26 would see him out. Yeah, it's not what we do. Like, wrongly, in my opinion. I think we're really missing that. Somebody that takes the game by the scruff of the neck, somebody with the experience. So I don't think that this will happen for Chelsea. But I could well be wrong here, but I can see it working for Man City.
So let's take them individually. Let's Luiz to Manchester City. Where would you rank that move if it were to happen?
B. Okay.
B.
So you're ranking it. If that was to happen, that would be a B transfer for Manchester City.
I just don't think it happens to Chelsea.
If it did, how would it?
If it did, it would be great. Oh, if we were to get him, a B, absolutely.
B.
I just don't think it's in our world. Everything that we've learned about Chelsea under this new ownership and these new sporting directors, we're not going to go and sign a 26-year-old player.
Yeah, I think especially with some of the players you got out on loan, Andre Santos performed so well.
Exactly.
You know, would they consider bringing him back before they go for a Douglas Luiz? So do you want to put him in C? You going B?
Yeah, maybe a C.
Let's do C.
Maybe a C.
OK, yeah. 17 appearances, 12 in Serie A of those 17 Juventus. But importantly, restricted to only 4 starts, 3 in Serie A due to injury. Obviously joined Juventus from Villa for 43.25 million. Heavily linked with both, but you're ranking them, if they were to sign for your respective clubs, you've gone B for City and C for Chelsea. Let's move on to our next player then. Big one, this.
Wow.
Garnacho linked with both Napoli and Chelsea. So should we do Napoli move first?
Yeah, I like the Napoli one. I think, Garnacho is playing for a club that isn't going to win the title in the next 5 years. An absolute shambles of a football club. Going to Napoli, getting managed by a world-class manager, great fan base. They're going to win the league title potentially this season in Italy. Why not?
There's history there as well, to amplify what Buvey said. I think for an Argentinian playing for Napoli in the spirit of Maradona, it's always got to echo, hasn't it? So I feel like there is an allure for Garnacho to go to Napoli, and it would be an excellent move for him. I just think it's got Chelsea written all over it.
Do you?
Yeah, I really do.
Do you think it will happen in January, Garnacho from Man United to Chelsea?
I do think it will happen, yes. I believe that Garnacho will be a Chelsea player come the end of the
Would you be happy with that?
More wingers? I don't get it. Why do Chelsea need more wingers?
It's not necessarily about need, it's about stockpiling, and if a player like Alejandro Garnacho comes available, I believe that Garnacho is an excellent player. How excellent, I don't know. There's obviously a lot of jeopardy because young, mercurial players, you never quite know how it's going to go. But I believe that there is a chance that one day Alejandro Garnacho is good enough to be running the wing for Real Madrid. I also think that there is a world where he could end up running the wing for Iber. But I do believe that he is an excellent player, and what Chelsea will want to buy is the potential.
I would be really devastated.
Yeah, I was going to ask you as a United fan's perspective on that. What would the perception be as a United fan if he was to leave for either club?
We'd much rather lose him to Napoli, because you don't want to lose him to a Premier League rival, obviously. But I think, we saw the letter that came out from Manchester United higher-ups this week talking about the difficulties with the financial position, and I think that reality is starting to strike home now, isn't it? And Alejandro Garnacho is one of our few sellable assets, despite the fact he is 20 years old, one of the most productive young wingers in world football. It would be devastating to lose him from a Manchester United fan's perspective. From a club financial perspective,
Well,
and the way modern football is,
it would be a terrible statement for Manchester United. Like, he is one of the shining stars at the club. Like, look at that goal he scored. Like, he won a Puskas Award. Like,
the Everton goal,
clearly has. He clearly has an abundance of talent. If that can be nurtured and channeled, like we've seen it before with starlets, but if it works, he goes on to have a glittering
What's
career.
the better move for him, though? What is the better move?
Napoli, they're going to be in the Champions League next season, unlike Manchester United. He's going to potentially win a league title, get managed by a serious manager, not Ruben Amorim, but Conte. Serious move.
I agree with that. For Garnacho, I think the allure of Napoli would be huge, but I believe he will end up at Chelsea.
OK, so let's get ranking.
Have to do A for Napoli.
So ranking if they're happy. A for Napoli. OK.
I mean, we have a
Chelsea.
lot of players in that position, so it's not a position in the team that we desperately need to fill. So it doesn't amplify and elevate us hugely. But if a player like this becomes available, I feel like you have to take the punt.
Where are you putting there? Chelsea fan.
B.
OK.
OK. B. Speaking of Chelsea, Rory, next one. We're going to go Nkunku, link the other way, Chelsea to Manchester United. Got to come to Rory first on this. What would your thoughts be if that does happen as a Chelsea fan this month?
I think he's a very good player, Smithy. I think he's a really good footballer. I think Manchester United, if they were to get him, would be getting a top-class player. It hasn't worked at Chelsea, but I think you could easily say that Christopher Nkunku is the best finisher at the club. Maybe Cole Palmer, but if not Cole Palmer, Christopher Nkunku has the best eye for a goal at Chelsea. And it's a shame that it hasn't worked because I really like him. I was so excited when we signed him. I remember he was left out injured of the French squad ahead of the World Cup. And I was gutted because I was really looking forward to seeing him play. I think he's got all the talent, and at the right club, playing for Amorim, I think if you want to talk about systems, I feel like he's very suited to the Amorim system.
Doesn't quite fit your system at the moment, does he? And I think system-wise, that is becoming more of a thing in modern football, isn't it? Players have to.
What's the Amorim system? Losing all these big games.
Well, I think he needs a player to score goals, doesn't he? He needs a goal scorer.
What is this Amorim system? He has to win games first and foremost, and I'm not sure. With all due respect, I think Nkunku's fantastic.
Would he help him win games?
The last thing you need is another forward who's a little bit injury-prone, a little bit lightweight, fantastic finisher, and what Rory says, spot on. The last thing Man United, I'm just saying this as a neutral, I couldn't care less if he works at Man United or not. You don't need Nkunku right now. No way.
As a Chelsea fan, would you take, if Garnacho came to Chelsea but Nkunku went to Man United, would you take that, or would you rather
to be honest, I wouldn't, no, because I think Nkunku strengthens Manchester United more than Alejandro Garnacho strengthens Chelsea.
Ooh.
OK, so where are we rating him?
Yeah. Well, I don't
in the
think,
short term, you might be
Buvey,
right. Yeah.
Alejandro Garnacho, if you think about the players that we have, if you think about the one position that we do not need to strengthen,
it's
the position that Alejandro
his
Garnacho
ceiling
plays.
is, as you said, world class.
His ceiling is that.
But Nkunku comes to Man United, he gets injured in the first game, and Man United are back to losing ways.
Nkunku immediately elevates their goal scoring. Like Rasmus Højlund is not good enough to play for Manchester United. There are question marks over Joshua Zirkzee. Christopher Nkunku immediately elevates the goal-scoring potential of Manchester United.
If he stays
fit.
OK, need a decision.
I have to go D with it. That's just my opinion. It's a bad sign, in my opinion.
I think from Manchester United's perspective, I think this is a good signing. I'd go B, but maybe we meet at C.
in the middle.
Meet at C. OK.
OK, let's go to the next one. We've got Marcus Rashford back in the news. Still a couple of moves bubbling away. I think you've got two magnets to pick up, Booth. Yep. One linked to Barcelona that persists, and sort of a slightly more tenuous link now to Borussia Dortmund.
This is fantastic for both clubs. I think both clubs need a bench player. Someone's going to come off for 5 minutes. They've got
what are you talking about?
Someone like Yamal, Rafinha at Barcelona doing exceptionally well. Rashford's not going to start for Barcelona, but they need depth from the bench. I think Rashford would provide that 5 minutes at a time, Royce.
On some level, I think Buvey is talking sense here in a very facetious way.
Don't think Rashford starts for Dortmund, who just sacked their manager and struggling for goals.
I think the Dortmund one makes more sense, but I do think that Rashford would struggle to get in the Barcelona team at the moment.
I can understand that with the system they play, particularly with Rafinha and Yamal.
You have to work hard at Barcelona. You have to track down. You have to run after the ball at Barcelona.
Can I ask you something, Joe? Like trying to drill down into it. No, but I'm genuinely, because obviously, you're a Manchester United fan, you watch him all the time. How good is Marcus Rashford?
He's really good.
Is he?
Yeah,
and how long ago was it that you came to that conclusion?
Well, I think it's easy to say that about a lot of Manchester United players.
Right.
Honestly, I think Manchester United can rub off on players the wrong way. I still think Marcus Rashford is an amazing talent. And at the right club, I think he will score so many goals.
Do you think he'd score a lot of goals for Barcelona?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think he would. I don't necessarily think he would be the first name on the team sheet there, but let's not pretend Rafinha can't play in that 10 role. We've seen him do it plenty of times this season when Pedri hasn't been fit or available. He's played slightly more central. I think Rashford would have a huge impact, particularly in a Champions League push where, You know, this season, let's not forget that Barcelona are faltering at the moment domestically as well. It's not like they are flying at the moment, is it?
But it's a big club. Is it a big club right now? It's like for like. Barcelona and Man United, arguably very similar in terms of the stature of the club. It's more pressure to go to a foreign country.
They're far more dominating than United are. Domestically, they're a much better team than United are.
He doesn't work hard for his boyhood club. He doesn't work hard enough. He clearly doesn't. I know he's got talent, but going to Barcelona, I just think it's going to be the similar problem. I think he needs to go to a club a little bit.
It's been such a long time since.
Do you not think there's a perception that a change of scenery, going to a new club, looking at what he's done, looking at we spoke about his goals to game ratio a few seasons back. Like there's clearly a quality player in there that a change of scenery, being at a new club, would actually suit him. And the way that the amount that, as you were saying, Barcelona dominate the ball, the amount of chances he would get. Do you not still think there is a quality player in there?
It just feels like such a long time since we've seen it. That's my issue. Look, I remember how good he was. I remember him being top goal scorer for England at a World Cup. I remember wanting him to find that form, but it just feels like it's been so long ago now. And ultimately, I feel like a Dortmund move might be better because the expectation level will be different.
OK, let's rank them both. Where are you putting them? If they were to happen...
Well, they're both A for me because both sides need bench players. So it's
now, be serious now. Where would you? I know you're winding us up. Where would you actually rank this move?
I don't think Barcelona need him massively.
Yeah.
Well, do one at a time then.
Dortmund A, Barcelona B.
Okay. I agree with that.
OK, there you go.
OK. Next up.
More Man United, Joe.
Yeah, don't stop, does it? Patrick Dorgu. Now, obviously, a little bit of an unknown quantity because he's only 20 years old, playing for Lecce. You know, as a wing-back, though, how much do United need that role?
This is it. It's the position, isn't it? It's Manchester United desperately need reinforcements in that position. I don't particularly rate Dalot. I never have. This isn't sort of a modern thing. I just don't think he's quite as good as Manchester United fans seem to think he is. And I do feel like just a change in that position, what you're never going to be able to do until you sign the right players for Amorim, it isn't about how good is Amorim. There are no amount of tactical tweaks or personnel tweaks that can make certain players in that United squad good enough to play for them. You have to buy him the right talent to play his system. And this is part of that manoeuvre.
Where would you put Dorgu, Booth? Good
age profile, but it's unproven, so maybe a C, just neutral.
OK.
Let's move on to the next one. This is a big story this week, wasn't it? Jhon Durán, Aston Villa to West Ham, linked with the 21-year-old, of course. Now, rumoured to be around the £57 million mark, rejected. But there's a lot of interest in Jhon Durán, not from West Ham for the first time.
Because he's class.
What do you make of this one? Yeah.
He's so good. He's so good. And ultimately, I think that whoever gets him is really going to effectively win a lottery. Because, you know, West Ham tried to sign they did sign Füllkrug. That hasn't gone their way. They need somebody that can put the ball in the back of the net. And I think there's a conversation about how good he's top drawer in my
say how good he is. There's a pretty good club as well linked with him in well, you can't get much better than Real Madrid in terms of European pedigree, can you? So let's look at that magnet as well. We can do them together. But
well, if Durán went to West Ham, it'd be the equivalent of them getting Mascherano and Tevez. I mean, way out of their league. With all due respect to West Ham, they deserve to have a great striker like they've had for many, many years. But he's a world-class striker in waiting. Seriously, he could be top 3, top 4 in world.
He's good enough to play for Madrid?
He's not. Oh yeah, as obviously coming off the bench for now at his age, 21 years old. But he's he's better than West Ham. With all due respect.
It's bizarre though, isn't it? With Endrick as an option, that's young there as well, and I don't really see
I know what you mean.
I'm not going to lie.
12 goals in 28 appearances. That's Villa's top scorer in all comps this season. You're surprised he's not had more?
But also, it's the quality of goals. Like, you look at you saw that goal that he scored against Bayern Munich. You know, the whole end was rocking like it's 1982 all over again. Like, it was a proper historic goal for Aston Villa. It was a wonderful finish, but he is capable of those big moments. And sometimes Real Madrid like that. Like, do you remember when they signed Adebayor, for example? It was because Adebayor was capable of those big moments, big goals, that volley he scored in the North London derby and things. Like, he was capable of that. And I think that Durán, I'm inclined to agree with Buvey that for him, the West Ham move might feel slightly underwhelming when he's linked with Real Madrid.
Yeah. OK, we've got 2 magnets, so where do you put Durán?
Durán to Real Madrid, I think, would be an A for Real Madrid. And I think it'd be an A plus for West Ham, wouldn't it? It'd be an A for both clubs, I think.
OK. It would be an A for both clubs.
There we go.
Okay. Next up, we've got a couple of Forest rumours coming up, but we want to start, don't we, with Johan Visser.
Interesting one, this.
Why don't we do the both Forest rumours at the same
go on.
time?
Forest are making statements, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like with their transfer strategy, the way that they're approaching things at the moment, particularly that Cunha bid, it was almost an acknowledgement. Look, they definitely want the player, but I think they also want the world to know that they are serious.
I know what you mean, actually, because both of those players are 2 of the most heavily linked players in the Premier League that a whole host of clubs. I mean, we've even got Cunha to Arsenal magnet link.
Exactly.
So teams with a higher profile than Forest link with them. So I think it goes to show exactly what you're saying, that they mean business. And if they land one of them, then that's too outrageous.
I know it didn't necessarily go as they hoped, but I remember Aston Villa making a real statement. Do you remember when they signed Emi Buendia instead of Arsenal? And it was a little bit of a statement. I think that's what Forest are doing here, like making the statement when everybody felt like Cunha was the answer to Arsenal's problems or whoever else. The fact that they've gone out and said, actually, we're in the Champions League spots here. We have no intention of relinquishing our spot. We're going to make...
And going again next season. And the Morello contract, one of the best centre-backs in European football this season. He's been exceptional. That long-term deal, I mean, Forest don't think they're going to just luck out a Champions League spot. They think they could do it for the next 3 or 4 years.
How much is Cunha going to cost, though? Because, I mean, he's been directly involved in 40% of Wolves' goals. If he leaves Wolves, does that not just condemn them to relegation, potentially? Or at least harm them to a level that is worth more than 60, 70 million pounds to them?
The trouble is, look, they will be desperate to keep hold of him. The problem that they have is, if he doesn't want to be there, if he's a distraction in the dressing room, they may consider their options and think it's a good time to cash in.
Okay. Yeah, it's been asked a lot, hasn't it, in press conferences. Pereira's been asked about Cunha many times. He doesn't want to lose him, but obviously we know that Wolves have sold assets in the past. I think you make a good point that it would be a huge blow to their relegation survival hopes if he was to leave. 10 goals, 4 assists in 22 appearances, but heavily linked with Forest. So let's see where you rank both of them.
It's an A for both. I just love what Forest are doing in the transfer business.
I think Cunha would be a bigger acquisition than Wissa.
A better signing than Wissa for you?
Yeah, in my opinion.
So he's an A?
I think Cunha is an A, and Wissa is slightly below that, maybe a B.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And we've also got Cunha to Arsenal as well.
Yeah.
So let's do that whilst...
I think that would be excellent for Arsenal.
Yeah,
I think if you think about their front line, look, I rated Trossard so highly, but he hasn't had a great season. He's one of the, in terms of how I expected him to perform this season, he's really, diminished from that. So they need somebody to elevate. With Saka out, their front line looks a little bit underwhelming and predictable. You throw Cunha in that and it totally changes everything.
Even midfield, when Saka's back, you could have Cunha, Odegaard and Rice in that midfield when you're playing sides in the bottom half of the Premier League and the Champions League, early rounds of the FA Cup, League Cup. You can have him in midfield as well. They need someone alongside Odegaard, let alone the front three.
Let's do the Arsenal together then, because you've got Sesko next, which is, I'm guessing, is that more of a...
That's the jewel in the crown. That's what they need.
That's what they need more than Cunha for you.
They need more than anything. They need the old-fashioned bully. That's it. You know the way Diego Costa would drag Chelsea to victory, or Didier Drogba would drag us to victory. Arsenal, they're a very nice side. They're a beautiful team. They're a very talented side. But I don't think they have enough of an edge, and I think Sesko would bring that for them.
OK, where'd you stick them both, Booth?
I would go A for both. They're in desperate need of both of them, in my opinion.
Wow.
OK, let's stick him up. Roy might have to help him out here a little bit. Next one then, bit of a left field shout here, but RB Leipzig reportedly having a €30 million bid rejected by Southampton for Tyler Dibling, who won over £55 million.
Any young English talent in Germany is an A for me. I think they're always going to thrive.
Hasn't always worked at Leipzig, though. I mean, you think of some of the players that have gone there. Smith Rowe hasn't worked there. Fabio Carvalho hasn't worked there.
So when you think about the clubs that Tyler Dibling's been linked with in the Premier League, I'm not sure this is the move.
Spurs linked with him as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is the move. This could be one that I rate quite low, in fact.
OK.
Yeah, C maybe.
This is our last one.
D even for me. I just don't think that that's the move that will happen. I don't think it'd be a particularly good move for Dibling. If you have the opportunity of playing for, say, Tottenham in the Premier League, linking up with that young, exciting Tottenham team, players like Bergvall and that, I'm not sure that Leipzig is...
Good point, Rory, well made. If you have the opportunity to go to Tottenham, you take it. I totally agree with that. There we go. There is confirmation of how you rank the January transfer rumours. Quite a few in A.
Nothing in E. We said we were going to have something in E. What's happened now? You bottled it.
There we go.
Buvey just kept saying A.
There we go. Well, let's not
another winger.
Let's not you think at home anyway.